I'm Tamika D. Mallory.
And it's your boy Mysonne, the General.
We are your host of TMI.
Tamika and Mysonne's information, truth, motivation, and inspiration.
New name, new energy, but
same old us. What's going on, Tamika?
You make me laugh sometimes.
Yeah, listen, man, I'm here for a good time, not a long time.
No.
You know what I'm talking
Hopefully
about?
we have some longevity.
Nah, I'm you know what I mean.
Yeah,
The podcast I'm talking about right now, I'm just living in the moment, enjoying life, and my birthday was just passed.
Mm-hmm.
And if you see these shirts that we're wearing,
Yes.
shout out to my friend. I love her to death, LuShawn.
Please love her to life.
Love her to life. You're right. You're right. You're 100% right. I love her to life. She made this shirt like I'm not this egotistical. I don't think I belong on this shirt, but that's definitely the work that I want to do. But some people
They
actually
didn't belong
think that.
on the shirts when it started either.
Well,
everybody started somewhere, so I mean,
well,
you know what I like about the shirt is that each person is different.
Each person represents something, and these are all people who I idolize. That I aspire to just have an inkling of the impact that they've had in life. So shout out to LuShawn for making sure I wore this shirt. She's like, "You gonna wear this shirt?" So
LuShawn Thompson. Yep, she gave us these shirts, and I wear it proudly. I mean,
this is my birthday.
I think I felt the same way when Jamila T. Davis, Dr. Jamila T. Davis, made the shirts with several names of very, very, very inspirational women. And she put my name on the shirt. I appreciate that we come last, which means that we're still in the process of growing through the ranks. You used the word egotistical, but I don't know if it's that. I think it's more so that you're more humble and not as self-absorbed that you would ever make a shirt like that for yourself.
So I wouldn't at all. If it was talking about rap or something, I might put me in there. But as far as impact in the world, I think that I'm definitely just trying to do my part. So I appreciate anyone who sees me close to any of these amazing men that's on this shirt.
Yep. So we wear it with pride.
Yes, ma'am, with pride.
So today for my thought of the day, I am super proud. I'm sure you are too. We share the love and admiration for our brother Jamal Bryant, Dr. Jamal Bryant, who's the pastor of New Birth Baptist Church.
Jamal Harrison Bryant.
Jamal Harrison Bryant.
That's right.
Bryant.
Bryant.
And he's the pastor of New Birth Baptist Church in Atlanta, Georgia. And, Jamal's obviously our brother. We are in the trenches with him, on the road with Jamal. We talk all the time. We text all the time.
That's my guy.
Jamal and I must be in, 50 text threads together on issues. And, so that's our brother and very, very close to him. And as we complete this Bonding of the Sexes series, where every week people have learned about or heard about couples or perspectives from people who do relationship therapy, people do, our girl Kendra kicked it off, and Kendra G, she kicked it off. And in her episode, she was specifically, talking about the expectations and aspirations of many of the women. And I think that, I got a lot of feedback from people. One of the things about this series is that on every other show, you see a lot of like chatter in the comments or people sharing it and saying whatever. But in these particular shows, the comments was in my DMs. Like a lot of people didn't necessarily, they would text me. They didn't want to put how they feel and their feedback on the page for everyone to see it. And I get it. People want to keep their thoughts and their lives private. And that brings me to my thought of the day about Jamal Bryant and his newly announced engagement to his beautiful fiance.
Congrats, Jamal.
Dr. Carrie Turner. And Dr. Turner is a pastor also at New Birth. So she's the pastor of cardiology, which I need to know. Like, I'm assuming, I don't know. I know that's got to do with your heart, but I need to know more about, because, they are so, especially the history of new birth,
Excuse me.
the history of new birth, but then also the creativity of Jamal. Who knows what cardiology means? It could mean your health for real, or it could just really mean your heart, and
Taking care of your
and
heart.
I don't know. So I need
It
to
might be
ask
both.
somebody. It might be
Shoot.
both, which would
I'll
be,
be feeling that.
yeah, which would be amazing. But she is a
She
powerful,
definitely the pastor
dynamic,
of his heart.
amazing, beautiful woman, and he has absolutely made, in my judgment, the best choice to ask this woman, who is someone right there in his church. He said, sometimes it's right in front of your eyes, your blessing, and you don't see it. And what I was thinking about was, of course, everybody, once he announced it, he did it in the only Jamal Bryant can do fashion on Sunday morning. Announced his engagement in front of his congregation, and it went viral, of course. And there were lots of different comments. I saw some of his guy friends saying, "Oh, I was starting to think you couldn't see. Like, what, the lady was right there, so it was beautiful." But then there were people like, "Oh, well, why did they lie? Why did they hide it? Like, they were hiding it. She was lying." And I was thinking to myself, wow, you believe that you somehow are entitled to know about their personal life. Like, you really do believe in your mind that when someone asks them, or when a blog or some person tried to expose them, or tried to ask about, or inquire about, or shame them, or whatever, that they were entitled to respond to you.
That's what you thought.
You really think that in your mind, that you are a person on social media that does not know these folks? You have no relationship to them. You know nothing about them except for whatever has been online. Jamal has had other relationships. And shout out to Giselle Bryant, who is Jamal's former wife. And, she's in the comments saying, "Congratulations. I'm happy for you all," or whatever. And it's just, to me, I'm just thinking to myself, so you Alice May, from wherever, from New York City, from LA, from Alabama, from wherever, and you believe that when you somehow asked or whatever, that you were supposed to get an answer from these folks that was pleasing to you. And I feel like I understand why, especially for someone like Jamal, who has been in the midst of controversy from previous relationships and whatever other things. He tried to do something different this time by keeping the relationship with this woman, especially with the sensitivity of them both being in the church, to keep it private until the two of them decided that, okay, we lock solid. Because if they broke up, it would just be fine. Like, nobody would know, and they would go their separate ways, and that'd be the end of it. But, now that they've decided to come forward, this is the right time for them to tell people, because clearly he's made a decision that he's serious about this woman being his wife, and vice versa.
Yeah, it's just basically, it's none of your business. That man ain't got to tell you about his business, his personal life with him and his lady. Once again, congratulations to them. He made a decision, or they made a decision that they wanted
It's
to come
really
for.
him.
Well,
A man makes the decision.
I guess, but I'm
Trust
saying
me.
you can't.
I'm saying, I'm not
A
saying
man
that she
can't.
doesn't
Yeah, that's
didn't
what I'm saying.
accept
Yeah,
it,
he ain't keep.
but it is a man's decision to say, "I'm serious about this," right?
Well, he can't be serious about something she ain't serious
Well,
about.
obviously that, but I'm just saying that, and I'm sure that even when she said, and he remembered me when she showed her ring, she's talking about, obviously not, she's talking about the word of God, not like him as in Jamal. But she knows that we as women, we are waiting for the person, whomever it may be, to make that decision. You know what I'm saying? That you're ready to take this on and make me a wife and do all the things that you need to do to make me safe and secure. And so he made that decision. And as you were saying, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, he made the decision. They made the decision, and he made the decision, and that's that. People can't dictate when you come out about your personal, relationships, about what's going on in your life. So he decided, and I'm happy for him, man. Hopefully, God willing, this will be something that'll be eternal, and they'll, ride off into the sunset. But
Yeah.
as far as y'all people, mind y'all business, man. Worry about what's going on in your house. Mind your business because it ain't got nothing to do with you. That's that man and that woman, and he decided when he was going to bring it forth. You sit there and worry about what's going on in your household. Worry about what's going on with your relationship.
Yeah, I mean, I saw it from like 5 different people too, who were like, "Oh well, I don't know, I don't understand."
You're not
So
supposed to
anyway,
understand. It ain't for you. That's the reality. It ain't for you to why people need to understand somebody else's business.
I mean, I think that people feel because you are a pastor or you're an organizer or you're any type of public figure that they are entitled to everything about you.
Yeah, they wrong.
And the interesting thing about that is I promise you none of the individuals writing are members of the church. So you're not a tither, you're not in the church. You have absolutely no entitlement, zero, to
Zero.
know anything about what is going on with these people who are trying to figure out their own lives. And it's just like, I think people get really confused as to where the line is drawn, around, folk personal stuff. So that's that. Anyway, moving right along. But shout out and congratulations to our family, the soon to be Bryants.
Jamal, good job, buddy. So this brings me to my music segment, and this one is like near and dear to our heart, because this is our sister Rhapsody who just dropped an amazing album
Rhapsody.
called "Please Don't Cry." It's personal, it is introspective, it is lyrical. Like Rhapsody is just a dope artist. Like it's not a female artist. She is one of the dopest artists out there. Lyrically, there's nobody like just everything about the way that she delivers music is just amazing. So this album, first of all, you got to get the whole album. Please Don't Cry. If you have not downloaded, if you have not listened, you are missing a treat. This is an amazing album. But I think the song for me that sticks out because, it's something that we went through with her is called He Shot Me, where she talks about Breonna Taylor. And she talks about the deputy. I didn't shoot the deputy. He shot me. And it's just such an amazing breakdown of what happened to Breonna and just how things go on in our society. But the album itself is amazing. So shout out to Rhapsody. I texted her the other day and told her how amazing the album was. She didn't even realize it was my number. She was like, Mice, this is you. And I answer her back. But the album is amazing, but go listen to He Shot Me. It's probably one of my favorite tracks. But the whole album is dope.
She's an
Shout
amazing
out.
artist.
Marlena.
Point blank.
Marlena is amazing.
She's my amazing friend too.
It's my sis.
He shot me.
He shot me.
So let's get into this interview now. A few weeks ago, we filmed in studio with my girl, Shaunie Henderson. She has a new book out called Undefeated, Changing the Rules and Winning on My Own Terms. And we had a real powerful conversation.
Dope
and
conversation.
Of course, what was amazing is that her man, Pastor Keon Henderson joined us, and she didn't know that he was going to come and run up to the studio. So it was really cool, and I'm excited for you all to hear everything that this sister is going through. And you know what? I'm excited that we got to do an interview with her, that people will not be able to take one word that she said and turn it into a whole thing, because she talks about it. In fact, Pastor Keon talks about his positive relationship with Shaq, how they don't have any drama and all of this stuff that people are trying to create in the world based upon her telling her story. It's interesting because that's what happened with Jada Pinkett Smith, that, she's telling her story in the book. And as the story, people decide which parts of it they think are important, which parts they want to, push out there or highlight, which narratives. And then one line becomes a whole thing. But when you look at it in the context of what she said, I never forget, Charlamagne was like, yo, I'm going to go read this book because because Jada must be really tearing Will up, and it's disgusting. Like, if that's what she's doing, like, how could she do this to him? I'm gonna go read. And then he got on the radio the next day or after a weekend and was like, none of what y'all are talking about is in this book. It literally wasn't there. So, Shaunie, I think in this interview, she gets an opportunity to really express herself in a way that is not a gotcha moment. So y'all check it out.
Check it out.
So we are being joined today by a good friend, a good dear sister, Shaunie Henderson, and this book, Undefeated. I had an opportunity to read this book, and I feel undefeated right
You
now.
should. That's
I feel
the point.
so undefeated. I feel powerful, and it's so good to have content in our lives that helps us to just release so much of the shame and the misery and everything that we go through. And so today I am so excited. We're excited.
We are so excited.
To welcome our dear sister Shaunie Henderson to be here to talk about Undefeated, changing the rules and winning on my own terms.
I gotta read it now.
I want people to read this book and feel empowered, encouraged. It is my story, but so relatable to everybody's story.
Absolutely.
From learning how to be financially independent as a woman to single parenting to divorce. It's just my journey is definitely a journey that can be shared with anybody. And you get it. We've all been in some part of my journey in your life, and to know that you can just start over and take a challenge and turn it into an opportunity to be undefeated is the goal. That's the goal.
You know, and you say doing it on your own terms, and you've been doing that.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a new thing. I think that's just been you, right?
Right.
Just making it happen for yourself and for others. But I can imagine that in this particular season of your life, you're no longer worried about what people think about what you're doing and fighting through all of the emotions and anxiety of trying to please, being a people pleaser. Would you say that you've been able to release that?
Yeah, absolutely. You know what, though? I think that I do care about what people who love me feel about me. So even with doing reality TV, right? It's like I was so careful trying to move around doing TV, which is why I even wrote this book, is because no one really knows my story. Like, you see what I've let you see. And I don't want to share too much, or I haven't in the past shared too much in protection of everybody around me. Because I decide to write a book and decide to be on reality TV doesn't make my mother want to tell her story. That's a part of my story, or my father, or whomever. So, I don't care what people think about me, but I do care about the people who love me and how they think about me, how I represent my children, how I represent my husband, how I represent my parents. I care a lot about that. In this book, I'm able to share my journey, even though they're all a part of my journey. It took me a long time to write this book because I kept stopping myself and just saying, oh, wait, maybe I'm saying too much about this situation, even though it's my truth. And even though it's what I experienced, it's so many other pieces to it. And it's so many other people that I have to talk about in order to tell my story that I was so scared to do it. But it's my truth, right? And it's my experience, it's my journey, and I'm going to share it because I know for a fact that it can help somebody.
Do you think that there are things about you that are misunderstood or misinterpreted, like by people that you meet, that they have some type of understanding you that's not really true, or do you think pretty much what they think of you is really what it is?
Yes, I absolutely do. I think people think I was handed a silver spoon at a certain point in my life, and that is not the truth. I share that in the book. I think people misinterpret me as far as basketball wise is concerned. As I get you're exploiting Black women all the time, right? That was never the goal of Basketball Wives. Is not about Basketball Wives. Basketball Wives is about giving women a voice and a platform to be able to express themselves however they are. If you are flipping table, that's who you are. Of course it's entertainment at the end of the day, but I really created Basketball Wives out of pure survival mode at that time in my life. It was like, this got to work because I need, it's a goal here and this has to work. But I also wanted to give, in my particular journey, I was lost at one point. I kind of lost myself. And I felt like I didn't have a voice. I felt like, who is Shaunie? And they're like, what's your purpose? Outside of being a mom, outside of being a wife, then soon to be ex-wife, who are you and what do you do? What's your legacy you leaving for your kids? What's, your kids have a very successful father. He's got a legacy of years and years of a legacy. What do you have? You know, what are your kids going to say? My mom was a great mom, and that's great, but I want to be something besides that. So Basketball Wives was a platform for women to be able to have a voice, be able to get in this business world and learn how to be entrepreneurs and learn how to just flourish in a space that you're provided, because you can't deny that television is giving you a platform to be able to say, sell, do many things. And I've been able to do that, and I'm super proud of it. So it's not exploiting Black women at all. I can't control what women do with their platform, but I'm gonna give you one to stand on.
Do you have any regrets about Basketball Wives?
I don't. I don't have any regrets. Of course, I wish that some ladies use it in a better light.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's not my life, but maybe that is your experience. Maybe that's who you are. Some people have aggressive personalities. It is what it is.
But do you think they fake for TV? That
I
people,
do.
not just Basketball Wives, just in general,
Oh, yeah.
all the shows,
yes.
they start turning it up for
Absolutely.
the cameras.
Absolutely. But you know, I think some people get addicted to the fame. You know, like if you're not flipping a table, you're not the talk at the water cooler at the job the next day. So I do think there are women that, and men that, do this for the fame, because let's be honest, it makes a lot of folks a lot of money. So if you're the loud one, if you're the one that I remember watching because you did something crazy, people know that, and you know, get your coins. So if that's you, you know, do you. But I was never that person, which is why going back to what I said, I was very careful in what I shared, and I'm just a super private person anyway. I know I do a little bit here on social media, but I think this book, you get to know my journey, but also I'm giving a space for people to be educated on a lot of things and a lot of experience that I've gone through, to give them some type of encouragement, empowerment to be undefeated. The title is exactly how I want everyone to feel when they finish reading the book.
Was it hard, like, to find a voice for yourself?
It's hard and uncomfortable for me to talk about me. I don't know. I mean, some people can sit and say, I did this, and that. That's difficult for me. So
who were your motivators? Who pushed you?
To be honest, my husband pushed me big time, because he's like, babe, people need to hear that part. People need to hear what you went through, because everybody assumes something else. Everybody assumes, you were given this, and not understanding that you built this, and out of the place that where you were when I built it is really the journey, and really the story that is probably encouraging somebody out there when they read it, because I grinded to get, to be this media mogul, and I grinded to, I learned the executive producer role and creator role of reality TV in the moment. I didn't know anything about that, but it was about survival mode. It was about, in my mind, it registered, I want to have a purpose. I want to have a legacy, and I'm going to succeed, period. And I think that it's just picking yourself up in a space where you probably feel as beaten down that you've ever felt, and figuring out that there is hope and there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And it sounds crazy, but it is so very, very, very true. And I share so much, like I said, in the book, that where you're going to be like, oh, I didn't know, I didn't know where this came from. But I hope it encourages somebody. I think it really will.
I seen an interview that Shaq had did, and he was talking about y'all relationship, and he was giving you so much praise. Did you see that interview when he was just
I
talking
did.
about
Of course you
how he
saw
made-
it.
I did. I got sent it a million times.
So when you heard, what would you think? What did you think when you heard him say that?
I really appreciated him for owning that and being accountable. I think where I was in life when he did that interview, I didn't need it, but I appreciated it. I think I had gone through so much of the public telling me what I did when I really didn't, and being accused of so many things for so long, that I had just settled in that place,
wow.
right? So by the time he did say it, I was like, oh well, like, thank you, but I didn't need it. But I think he needed it. So I
see.
I'm okay with it, because I think he needed to get that out, and he needed to let me know that he owned it, even if he didn't say it directly to me. He
You.
owned it. You know what I mean? And I appreciate
He could
that.
have called you on
He
the
could have.
phone,
You could have
right?
called me. You could have called me. But it's okay.
But your children probably needed it.
Yeah, yeah.
Just
I'm
to
sure
be
they
able
did.
to say, all right, Dad has validated what we always knew.
Right.
But he did it, in public.
Right.
Now everybody know. My friends,
Yeah.
everybody know. My mom was a good woman.
They know. One thing I did as a mom, I never talked bad about their dad ever. Even we could be over here arguing, but it's gonna be. They never knew, especially during the divorce, because we worked to get here, right? At first, it wasn't this easy, and I was intentional about never speaking bad in front of them about him. I mean, no matter what was going on, they never really knew. My kids are honestly learning a lot of truth out of this book right now. Yeah.
Wow. That's, same happened with my family. There were things that I went through and experiences that I've had and trauma that I have endured that when I wrote my book, they were like, what? They were calling me like, girl. And you didn't say, and we didn't know, and it's been this hard, but it is true that when you're in that, when you're writing, it's like, it's just you and the page, you're just telling stuff from your gut.
Right.
That it's hard for other people to process because, people want to be a part of being your savior, I guess, but they can't. It's your story and your journey alone. You can't cheat the process.
Right.
Talk a little bit about that, like, you had a whole process that you've been through to get to the point of being the first lady of a church. I just,
that's
not
crazy,
something
right?
That, I mean, I've always known you to be a responsible, respectable, beautiful woman, but this is a new level, and I want to know more about the responsibilities of that as well.
It is definitely a place that I never would have seen myself. But I do believe the journey that I went on actually prepared me for this space. I wouldn't change a thing. I wouldn't change a tear. I wouldn't change a moment of anger, frustration for the reward, because I think the reward is now. And I feel the best I've ever felt. I'm the happiest I've ever been. And sitting in this first lady seat, at the fulfillment of being able to lead with a leader of this ever-growing church and him feeding people consistently and seeing lives change and just sitting. Someone always tells me, like, I see you in church and I see you like light up when things are, and I do. It's like, it feels so good to know that we collectively are feeding into people, some that just don't feel spoken to on a regular, right? So the way Keon ministers, even if it's something that I engage, we started this thing called NYT, Not Your Typical Bible Study, because culturally, the culture is kind of like they feel not accepted in church. It's a little strict and all the rules, and the church folks are looking at the culture with the side eye, and I wanted there to make sure there was a space for culture to feel comfortable. So if I need to change and make the beginning of Bible study outside look like Coachella for y'all to come and eat at food trucks, bring your kids, have a good time, have a little concert, and then we go in church and learn something that you didn't, and sit and have a church service. If that's how I need to shape
Engage
things,
you.
and engage the culture to, like, come in. I promise you, your life will be changed. And that's what we're doing. And that alone is my reward. The role I have embraced, and I have embraced in my own way. And Keon supports me in this, because first ladies have this bubble of how they are perceived. I don't fit that bubble. My husband doesn't need me to fit that bubble, and I'm bringing the culture to faith in a way that I know we can feel comfortable, and that is my reward. I feel so good in that.
How did you guys meet?
A mutual friend, believe it or not. A friend of mine and a friend of his introduced us, and I really was not feeling the fact that he was a pastor. I was like, no, that's not my life. That's not what God has for me.
Like,
So
nothing against him. But just
listen,
not.
right. I like pastors, I do, but not as my man.
Mhm.
So he was like, just go on a date, just go have coffee or whatever, and I reluctantly did, and that moment changed my life.
Because I think the misconception with pastors is that they're not regular people.
Right.
And then when you get to peel the layers back, they're just regular,
Right.
normal human being who has a calling on them that they could not ignore. Right. So they have to walk in the direction that God has for their lives, but it doesn't take away that they still like to go out and have a good time, good experiences. They like to laugh. They think the same things is funny that we think
absolutely
is funny. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
They still have regular life.
Right. And like why can't, and it's a gift. It's a God-given calling that these men and women have on their lives to share the word of God to the people, right? But that doesn't make them perfect. So they're going to make mistakes. They're going to, they have a good time. They laugh. I send my husband inappropriate memes all the time, and he's going to laugh. But I think for me, Keon has been one individual in my life that has just made me want to be a better person every single day. Like watching his level of grace, watching how he just loves people genuinely. Like, we could be like, I ain't feeling that energy over there. And he is going to be like, babe, just give it a chance. Like show her a little grace. You don't know what. Learning that this late in life, I'm like, wow, I need to be intentional about my energy that I give out. Put out what you want to receive. And it's just something that stays in my head consistently.
Yeah, that first lady life, you have to suspend your first judgment about everybody.
You do.
And you've got to be able to get a little bit closer, or allow people to get a little bit closer to you. And it's a skill, because I watched the first lady at my church. She's beloved, a beautiful woman. However, she's still very private. But nonetheless, people don't feel like she's so private that they can't talk to her.
Right, right, unapproachable.
Now, if you were not the first lady or in a public role, you could just be like, I don't fuck with you.
Right. You can.
But you can't
you
do
cannot
that.
do that as a first lady.
You can't.
And you gotta smile all the time.
Exactly.
You can't have that resting face. But it's not, I think after a while, sis, it becomes natural. Like I do genuinely love people. I have no problem being social. I'm that person. But I still am able to keep this wall, like this bubble. Like you're not gonna get on the other side of the bubble, but I still can love on you. I love to hug. I love to have a good time, but I still live in this private space for sure. And it's genuine. It's not like I'm putting on this first lady act. I really do love people. I love our Lighthouse Nation. I love being around them. I'm always going
fun,
with it. Yeah, it is. It is just, it's a great environment. We have a great, in-house, online, just community of people. And I think once you are a part of it, you can't help but to just shape yourself into the love that you feel you exude. You are giving it, because it's just, we're going to drown you with the love. You're going to get it.
I just want to say that, just all the years that I've watched, your life has been public for so many years, and you've always carried yourself with a level of class and dignity, and grace. No matter what situation, I've always, anytime I've ever seen you, I never was like, oh, I don't know why she's doing that. Or, I've never had that conversation about you, and I just want to say I commend that. It feels like we know you, but I know that there's more to you, and there's a level of privacy. So hopefully, Undefeated is gonna give us that little journey.
It is. Sexy too.
Thank you. I was trying to give a little, listen.
Nothing about this.
Somebody came to church a couple Sundays ago with that. I leaned over to Keon. I said, "So can we do the shoulders
out?
Listen. Don't tempt me with some shoulders, okay?
Don't do too much, Shaunie. Don't do too much.
All right. What about one?
One shoulder.
Okay.
Don't do too much.
I'm gonna try one, Lighthouse. One shoulder.
Well, you know what? Speaking of Lighthouse, there is a surprise here today, and that is Pastor Keon joining us to talk about Undefeated and his beautiful wife. And we're excited to have our brother to come and join the conversation. So it's exciting because another one of our friends has joined us on the show today.
Yes,
And
sir.
I can just tell you that, I mean, obviously, even before you married our sister, I had been following you and listening to much of your, well, I guess your messages. You want to say preaching, but it's a message. And you're such a strong leader. Your voice is so strong. And to see the two of you get together is so powerful. It comes across the screen. And so I'm just so happy to have our brother, Pastor Keon Henderson, in the building with us today.
Yes,
It's
yes.
funny
The
because
brothers
on
is
this
here.
tour,
Because they be jumping me, so I'm glad to have some brothers.
on this tour, yeah, we want to hear from Shaunie, but it's good to have your man be able to step up and say, what does Undefeated, like, what does this mean to you to be able to support your bride, your wife, in her endeavors, knowing that she's such a powerful woman on her own, but look at y'all together.
Yeah, so the first word that pops to my mind is reciprocity. Because where do I go that she doesn't go? Right. So if I'm going to Africa, she's right there. If I'm in London, she's right there. If I go across the street, she's right there. Sometimes if I go to the kitchen, she's there before I get there. So I felt like this was my way to pay her back. And I've been saying on her tour, they'll ask me questions, and I'm like, it's not about me. It's about her. And I'm absolutely proof positive. You know, I'm actually evidence that she's undefeated because everything that came before me suggested that she should make it to me. And let me tell you, when I found her, she was not damaged. When I found her, she wasn't begging. When I found her, she wasn't hurt. When I found her, she was healed. And so what I am reading in the book and what you all are reading is the story that I've watched over the last few years. And I'm so proud of her. It's amazing to see her do what she does.
Wow. I don't even know what to ask you.
It's like,
That was like a whole
okay.
sermon. But like you said you found her. It's so many people when we talk about relationships, they always have like bad stories, or they found people in bad times. And hearing that you found her when y'all both was at a strong time, like how does that feel knowing that you found somebody that was prepared for you, you were prepared for them, and just seeing y'all grow together? How does that feel?
Well, let me add more context. She was fine. I wasn't.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't okay. And I don't know if I believed at the time that I met her that I was undefeated. I actually met her defeated. I'd just come out of a divorce. She had been single, I believe at the time, 10, 11 years. And so when I met her, I was still like, yeah, I told her out the gate, I said, look, we can kick it. I ain't never getting married again.
Wow.
I told her, I said, I ain't never getting married again. I'm not going through that again. I don't want to do it. And she, you know, a little sassy, she said back to me, well, how you know I want to marry you?
Right.
So,
Right.
She was tough. Man, she was tough on me, T. She was tough. But so I needed it. See, this is the great thing about her being undefeated. See, that kind of strength, she loaned it to me until I could find myself. Like she loaned me everything is going to be okay. Ain't nothing better than finding somebody who's already where you're trying to get. So she had been through what I was going through. She had already come over what I was trying to climb over and was able to give me the roadmap on how to stay faithful, how to stay calm, how to keep your head. And in the end, everything will be okay. And so now I am actually getting to the place she was when I met her. And again, in this book, which I think if you're listening, everybody needs to get it right now.
Right now.
I think that this book is proof positive that you have to have the courage to tell your own story. Because when you tell your real story, you have to tell it all. And the people who are in the story don't get to watch that story and sanitize it because they did what they did in the story.
That's right.
They showed up in your life the way they showed up, and you shouldn't have to sanitize that to tell your real story.
But let me ask you, Shaunie, does that mean it was work? Getting with him, knowing that he wasn't 100% healed and ready? Like, is this work that you would say to another woman is worth it? Do the work?
Absolutely. I think, there's no growth in comfort, right? So I saw what he was going through and I knew what he was going through because, of course, I had been there before. But I felt like me working with him and supporting him and going through it with him was worth the end result, because despite him being broken at the time, he still was speaking to me in a way that I had never been spoken to
That
before.
message.
Yeah, and just I could feel his love even in his damaged space. So to me, I was putting in, and it's kind of in me, just the nurturing, right? I wasn't going to leave him, even if we ended up just friends. I wasn't going to leave him in that space, just kind of abandon him and in pain, and knowing where that pain is. So even if it didn't end up where it ended up, I was in it for the long haul. Just my heart was there. And despite his brokenness, he still is him. So how he just spoke, and you said it's a whole sermon, like, I get that every day without him even trying. I'll go to him and or he'll just look at me sometimes and be like, what's going on? Like, what's on your mind? Well, he did it last night. I had was staring off at something. He was like, what are you thinking? And even when I talk about it, sometimes it's just a quick encouragement or something, but sometimes it's like, let's just sit and or come give me a hug, whatever it is. It's just we kind of just have that thing of feeding off of each other. And I don't know if it's maturity, I don't know if it's wisdom, and knowing sometimes you don't need words, sometimes you just need the presence. And he provided that for me, so it was like second nature to do it in return.
Like, you was single for 10, 11 years. He was broken. I want you to give people who looking at relationships and saying, I'm done with it, give them some level of advice and some encouragement. What would you say to them?
I'd say it's never too late, and never get comfortable thinking you have this list of what I want, what I don't want. Who would have thought I would end up being a first lady and married to a pastor?
Right.
If you had asked me, I would say absolutely not.
Right.
I would have said that. I probably did say that. But don't get comfortable in your comfort and know that you're just settling, knowing that you're just fishing in the same pond. We tend to do that. We tend to go to and then complain about it. Like, it ain't nobody out there. Well, that's because you're still going to, our grocery store is HEB. You still going to HEB. You know what I mean? Like, go somewhere else. So try, venture out and get out of your comfort zone. That's what I would say. And I think that we have a solid prayer life together, which I never had with anybody in a relationship. I never had, and I think that is a game changer for us. And communication. So it's things that you just learn in the process of life, of course, that are game. But that would be my advice. Prayer with your partner is important, and communication for sure.
Yeah, I think seed begets after its own kind. So before you look for somebody, you got to find you. Because if you don't change, you're going to find the same version of the person you left, because you're going to attract what you are, right? And then I think that most of us find a person the way they are, and then we spend the rest of our life trying to change them into what we want them to be. I think that if a person is worth discovering in their current state, you have to make a decision that you will love that person for the rest of your life if they don't change, not if they do. And so what we came into the relationship saying, like, all right, I'm at my worst. Can you handle me like this for the rest of my life? Because if you can handle me like this for the rest of my life, I promise you I'm going to get better. I promise you. So I think that we have to, in our search for relationships, I think the first relationship you have to have is with you. Like, you got to start with you. Am I psychologically prepared for this? Am I patient enough? Am I non-selfish? All of those things you've got to ask yourself. And then make up in your mind that if this person does not change, I can handle them exactly this way. Any change that comes after this is icing on the cake. And so that change we're fostering together. And let me tell you, it isn't easy, because we have to make the changes both privately and publicly. Like, Tamika, you have a very public life. You understand what it's like, my son. You understand what it's like to be scrutinized for clips of your life. And then you run into the rut of trying to satisfy public opinion and then being true to yourself. And so the greatest thing about the first part of our relationship is that we dated for 6 months without letting anybody know we dated.
Clearly.
Yeah, we had
Clearly. Like,
because we're like, once everybody finds out, and just like as a preacher, she said she couldn't think of being married to a preacher. How do you think I thought being a pastor, that I would marry the woman who started basketball. With
What?
me.
So I that's what I want to know. Like, this woman is responsible for a show that has been at the center of major controversies, right? You meet her, you gotta. Now, I have pastors who are my best friends. My own pastor, W. Franklin Richardson, is my best friend in the whole wide world. Jamal Bryant, Rudy McKissick. I mean, across this nation, I'm friends with pastors. I know what they go through. I understand the judgment and the church folk who doing worse than you
Listen.
can imagine. They ain't living all of this perfect life that they try to push on their pastor and others within the church. They have so much judgment. And so how does that work that you come and say, because so many people have misconceptions about people on these shows, right? Jennifer Williams is one of my best friends in the whole world. And people, if you listen to what they say on TV,
Right.
it's like she is this horrible person, and she's really very sweet. She really doesn't like to start problems with people, but there are people who believe from what the edits and the clips of something different. Yandy, people told me stay away from her. Yandy has been there to save my life at times when I was down and out and other people just couldn't understand. So these are my friends. I know Shaunie, a beautiful woman. So how do you bring her with the misconceptions of the TV to the church?
Yeah, because I didn't meet the TV producer. I met the girl. Like, she's not what she does. She does that for a living. And here's the other thing. When I met her and we finally start talking about marriage, this is what I knew. She says, if you require me to, I'll walk away from it all.
Wow. Damn.
She said, I will walk away from it all. And here is the mark of love. You don't have to walk away from what you built before me, because I'm not going to let these people make me change you into a version of yourself you won't be happy with to satisfy them. Because if she changes into a version of herself that makes them happy, they will soon become unhappy with the version she changed herself into.
Of course.
People cannot be satisfied. So since this marriage is about what goes on in our house, you do you, I'm going to do me, and we're going to show up in the world with the character and consistency of love and the highest of vibrations to let people know that no weapon formed against us will ever prosper. We're going to love each other through everything, and we're going to love them while we do the job.
Yeah.
That's just the way we live.
Wow.
Right.
That's a sermon right there. I don't even know how to. It's hard to question you because you be just answering all this stuff in
Right.
one answer.
Right. Like,
But you know why? It's because I'm not answering questions. I'm giving you my heart. Like, who's smart enough to make up stuff like that?
That's a fact.
I'm just speaking the truth. Like, I am. This is how I show up in the world. I am consistently optimistic about everything. Everything is going to be okay.
That's so true.
I'm coming.
Everything's
Where your
gonna be
church at? 'Cause
okay.
I'm
Yeah,
sure
We're in
Yeah.
Houston, man.
I
We're
might
in
have to
Houston.
fly to Houston.
Lighthouse
to come
Church.
on.
Lighthouse
Houston,
Church, man.
Texas.
You need to come.
I'm gonna come out
June
there.
21st through the 23rd. We got a conference called Cry Out. And I think your co-host. I haven't confirmed this.
You haven't confirmed.
You
I'm
know,
working
wherever
hard.
Marvette Brito
We
tells
might-
me
we
to
might-
go, that's
yeah, we
where I
do
go.
this.
We might be able to
Miss
do this.
Brito
Yeah.
back
We
me.
just did Grow Zone meets.
Oh man!
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
man!
That might work.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I just want to ask one last question. I think it's important for people to hear about blending families, right? The children coming together, because when I watch the videos it's one video that you all had out about the coupons. You
Oh,
know,
yes.
that was just so funny to
Yes.
me. And you were like, I got coupons to bring this one in and get these groceries,
Yes.
and I'm going to use this. And it just made me think about the beauty of everyone coming together. It's a lot of y'all.
It's a lot of us.
It's a lot. So
It's a
talk
lot of
about
us.
how that worked. And again, telling your children that the woman who started Basketball Wives
Yeah.
is about to be my wife.
Yeah.
I looked up though, because Keon's daughter is so young that I don't even think she knew. She
No
didn't.
clue.
She
She
didn't
didn't
have a
understand.
clue
Okay,
who I
good.
was, and might still not quite grasp it all. I'm not sure, but she might just be like, "That's Shaunie." My kids, I was slightly concerned because they're all older now, and my boys are grown, so it's like I'm bringing a man,
A man.
in my life, and they have been the men in my life, and it just worked out so well. Like, again, it was one of those moments when Keon finally asked me to. I said finally, sorry, babe, you didn't take that long.
That finally word has
Yeah,
gone.
my bad, my bad,
Say it again.
my bad.
Say it again.
When
Just
he
get it out.
finally asked, but
She used to say
my
to me,
boys,
you know, you haven't asked me to marry you. Right?
my boys said, "What took you so long?"
Mm.
That was theirs. I'm like, "What took you so long?" And we've been waiting for this. Like, you make our mother happy. Like, we haven't seen her this kind of happy before, and they love. I mean, they have their own relationship with him. They call him on their own time. Everybody has their own thing. Even my youngest daughter, who just turned 18 last week, she said that watching Keon be a father to his daughter are like traits that she longed for, because, you know, I'm divorced, so
Yeah.
she's just had me in the
Right.
home. But seeing him be a full-time dad, you know, every day, sitting down, doing the homework, disciplining his daughter, whatever it is, she was like, that's so awesome. Even if she gets in trouble, it's just like,
That's
I
deep.
want that. Like, I want a dad to say, don't do that no more. You know, like, or you get in here, it's too dark outside. Whatever that is, she just was like, she didn't know how to even express it, but she was like, that thing that he has, even if she's doing the wrong thing, him reprimanding her, like, I feel like I didn't get that. And I want that. So they have a bond that's like crazy. She calls him her best friend, and vice versa. But it's truly a blessing, because I think he didn't step in and like, I'm your daddy.
Right.
He stepped in and was like, just allow me to be whatever missing piece that you need, you know, me to be. That's all I'm here for. I'm not going to overstep. I'm not going to interject myself. Just let me know where you need me, and I'm here. And that's how they just function so well.
The first thing Miara asked me to do was discipline her. She did not ask me to shoot a basketball. She didn't ask me for a pair of shoes. She asked me to tell her when I saw her doing something wrong, because she saw me doing that with my daughter. I didn't do this with the boys because they were all older, but the girls, I actually watched them, and I told her, she said, you know, your relationship with them is so good. I said, it's because they have a father, so I don't need to be that. All I did was sit back and watch what was missing, and I became what was missing. The other thing about blended families, and my wife and I use this. So imagine drinking a smoothie and you put all of the fruit inside of the blender. If you ever notice that no matter how much you blend the fruit, if you put strawberries in it, the seeds will always be there. I recognize that when a family is blended, you may get everything working together, but the seed still exists, right? So they are still Shaquille's kids, and Caitlin is still Keon's daughter, and that seed ain't going nowhere. So you got to learn to work with the seed, and that's what I've done, and I believe that is the substratum of our relationship. And when Miara goes to college, I am going to cry like I gave birth to her, because that is my child.
Yeah.
So how does that dynamic work? Like, you have a ex-wife, you have an ex-husband, and how do y'all get along together as a family? Like, is that relationship strong?
So my ex-wife is out of the picture. She doesn't care to be a part of what we're doing, and that's fine, because everybody should have their own decision.
That's right.
And that's not a disparaging remark against her. She has a choice as a single woman. Her ex-husband and I get along well because I am not intimidated by his success. I think he is a great humanitarian.
He's my friend, by the way. So
Don't say nothing bad.
And we get along.
No, I know you went. I did along. I know that. I know that.
We get along. When the kids graduate, we sit next to each other.
That's right.
Right.
When it's time to walk them on the court, we walk together. That's grown man.
That's right.
Yeah.
So
Ooh, I
he's
want to
my
cry.
I
friend.
love
Yeah.
that.
He's
I
my
love
friend,
that.
too.
I love
Yeah.
that.
And he has to be my friend for the sake of her, because being his adversary makes it too hard for her.
Doesn't make no sense.
And it's a win. It's a lose-lose for both of us. So we get along. We've never had a side word or a problem.
That's true.
That's dope.
That's very
Bless
true.
God.
Bless
this
God.
just
Yeah.
amazing.
Right.
Yeah, now.
Life is too short. You know
It's
what I
way
mean?
too
Like,
short
you
for
get
that.
we hear that growing up, and you don't get it until you get older, and you're like, it takes too much energy to be nasty and negative and argue. Like, nobody have time for that.
You know what? Things happen in life, and you know, you kind of have to grow past it, regardless of what. Because when you stay stuck, it just stays within you. Other people are moving on, living life.
Exactly.
You
And
know,
you miserable
right.
and looking old and
Yeah.
I
We
mean
ain't
like
doing
all
that.
things bad. Like
Yeah.
nobody I
We ain't
just don't want to
doing
put that kind of energy out. And it's just you want to put out the energy you want to put out the energy you want to receive. So, and that's been something that I really, really am intentional about doing is just putting out the energy that I want in return.
Well, listen, this has just been great. Just listening to all that is happening within your lives. And, you know, we were in this series, Bonding of the Sexes. We wanted to change and sort of flip the narrative
From
because
battle
it's
to
usually a
bonding.
battle of the sexes. And when we learned that you would be in town and willing to come on with us, and then the surprise of Pastor Keon coming as well, it's like, what better couple to talk to in this moment than two people who come from different worlds. People just would never have imagined
Never.
that the two of
Yeah.
you would be together. And I think that's a testament to finding love, the right love, wherever it is, right? And how you find that, I don't know. I'm looking. So, you know,
That's
anybody
the
else
problem.
you
Don't
know.
look. Don't look. Just let
I
it
mean,
come
but
to you.
I have not been looking for so long that I'm thinking maybe
Maybe you
now
should
I
look.
need to be doing something
Trying
looking.
something
on the
different.
lookout.
Okay, I get
On the
you.
lookout.
Yeah,
But we appreciate y'all so much for joining us on TMI. It's special.
Definitely
Anytime. We love
appreciate you.
y'all.
Yes, sir.
Love you.
I got
back.
you, man.
Yeah,
I
there
got
you go. Hold me down. Hold me down. And I'm coming to the trip. That was a dope interview.
It was good. I'm glad they were here. We need more in person.
We definitely need more in person, and we need more people that are working on themselves, right? When you listen to her and then you listen to him, they both had to get prepared for each other.
But he says he wasn't all the way prepared.
Yeah,
either.
but he was ready to be prepared.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? You have to be open to listening, to feeling, to embracing a different ideology and understanding. You know, just talking about their relationship and then, like he said, his relationship with Shaq, and who is my friend, and I made sure that was known. You know, but I really grew to like him just listening to him. It just seemed like he was an authentic
You don't know him.
individual.
Right.
No,
This is
never
your
met him.
first
This is
time,
my
yeah,
first
no.
time, but just I've seen him, and I've always, like the way that he preaches. But just in his presence, you just sense a level of authenticity, and just I know Shaq, so just understanding that as long the
dynamics,
dynamic
yeah.
and just seeing these are just two men, right, who have understood their different places in life, and they share, this woman in different aspects. This is his kid's mother and this is his wife, and they come together, and he loves those kids. When he talks about the relationship with those kids, it's just amazing just to see just
He loves
adults.
her, too.
Yeah, and he definitely loves her, and she loves him, and it's just like I want to read the book, just really get into the book and delve into it because they're gonna take the sound bites and
Yeah, of every
as now
interview.
we've seen the one sound bite that they've taken, and she clarified it, and her and Shaq is just on the same page. So dope interview.
Yeah.
Dope
I
couple.
think the entire Bonding of the Sexes series, the thing that has come out of interview after interview after interview is people talking about your self-work. And, for me at least, that's what stands out for me the most. That like all of these relationships that we have all participated at some other point in life, you can see where your unhealed self, your toxic self, it entered the relationship, right? Because that's just what it is. You're young. I was having a conversation with somebody the other day, and I was like, yeah, I mean, when I was young, I thought that physically fighting was love. I really did think that. My baby father and I used to be rolling around. Everybody, people in the community that we grew, well, where we were when we were teenagers, they all know, like, that's what I thought was love. And I didn't see that in my household, but it's just in the culture, like, the neighbor, the TV, you watch shows or whatever, and it's like the guy who seems to be paying the most attention to a woman is the one who's like yelling at her or arguing this and that, and that's why culture is so important, because we often overlook what's right in front of us. So the example of my mother and father, who never were in physical altercations, I've never seen that. They certainly had arguments, but physical altercations, I never saw my father is the type of person that if he has to put his hands on you, he's probably going to kill you, because he gets that angry at that point. But he doesn't, that's not him. And I've watched my mother a few times. You know, she a little fight. It's a little different. Von Sil different. So a couple times she moved some chairs and tables, not against him, but other people. But that's just not something I was raised with. Nonetheless, I feel like I looked past them and looking at, you know, culture in general, TV shows, other family members, neighbors, and somehow I believe that that's what love was. So
You know what's so crazy about that? I didn't mean to cut you
No,
off.
it's
Is
okay.
that it's the exact opposite for me, because I grew up in domestic violence, right, and it was normalized, and I never wanted that. Like, they used to do it seem normal, and I never felt like it was normal for me. Like, the trauma that I got from it, I never wanted to do
maybe
that.
that's what happens. It's the opposite.
It was the opposite. Like, so it was for me. It's like seeing my mother and father fight. Like, it used to drain me so emotionally, and then somehow they figure out and be back together. And I'd be like, how? Like, I don't want nobody to hurt me. I don't want to hit nobody. I don't want to, like, if I love you and I care for you, why would I want to do that to each other? And somehow they normalize it. And I watched, like you said, it became normal to where when my father passed away, my mother used to try to, like, entice men to be physical with her. Like, I
Yeah,
used to
I'm telling you, it's
literally watch it and be like, yo, this is crazy. And
Like,
I see it play out in my family. My sister, like, it's like she tries to do anything to get some type of physical thing from you. And it's like, I never wanted that. Like, to me, that's the most toxic shit ever. Like,
But again, it's the self healing, because of course, when at that time it was whatever, but then, you know, as I got older, and especially when I finally actually was in a relationship with a man, a real man who is also healed, speaking to, you know, the dynamics between Shaunie and Pastor Keon, he was just like, we not doing that. Like, I'm just not doing this whole thing. You know, yell at me, and then we doing, like, I'm just not. That's not who I am. And once I began to learn that and start working on myself, it made certain things about the relationship better. So with that being said, I feel like from this series, that's the thing that I have. That's my takeaway: is work. Self work is first.
you got to love yourself and work on yourself.
Like yourself.
Now for my I don't get it. So, first of all, shout out to the Dallas Mavericks, who are one win away from the finals.
It's still a basketball season.
Oh, it's definitely still.
I mean, I know it's a basketball, but I thought it was like I don't know what I thought.
Hopefully, by the time you hear this, they'll be in the finals. You know, because this airs the day after. You know, the finals.
So June 4th is the final day?
No, I mean they'll be in the finals.
Oh.
Because tonight they play, and if they win tonight, then they'll go to the finals. They'll be done swept.
Oh, so tomorrow.
Yeah. Tomorrow.
Oh,
So that's
I
my
don't know
goal.
what I was thinking about. Okay.
But anyway, my I don't get it is about my brother Kyrie Irving. Shout out to Kyrie Irving.
Yo, you really
know,
love Kyrie.
You know, like, because, you know,
I do too,
like,
by the way.
it's just that, you know, I've watched, you know, arguably one of the best all around skilled players in basketball history go through so much for being a principled individual. Like, I mean, we all make mistakes, and there's a lot of people who we don't agree with all the time and things, but the things that Kyrie has been under fire for were just principled things, you know, and I've watched him be scrutinized, criticized, disrespected, and still maintain his level of manhood and stand firm in his conviction. And the things that he's done outside of basketball, the humanitarian things that he's done outside of basketball, just makes me that much more of a fan. But the way he's arguably the best, not even really arguably. I don't think it's too many people who argue that Kyrie doesn't have the best handle in NBA history. But the way that he has silenced the haters, The way that the same people that was telling him to retire, the same people that was throwing dirt on his name, that was saying he doesn't want to play basketball, he shouldn't be, and he's a cancer in the locker room, all these things, the way that he went through that, and those same people now want to give him praise, and they want to talk about how him and Luka might be the best backcourt, and how he's playing at this phenomenal level. The same people that was throwing dirt that I literally had to call out a bunch of times are now singing his praise, and I don't really get it. Stay like we don't want you over here. Me and Kyrie, no, we don't. Me and Kyrie don't want y'all. Stay over there where you was at when y'all was throwing dirt on his name and y'all wanted to see him out the NBA and y'all was saying everything negative about that man and he was standing firm in his conviction and he stood up like a man. Y'all stay over there. Us, the real Kyrie fans that stood with him, that, listen, I stopped wearing Nike because of Kyrie. Shout out to Kyrie, But those of us who really stood with him, we don't want y'all fair weather friends. We don't need y'all to come back and want to get on the bandwagon and talk about Kyrie and be posting about Kyrie. Y'all stay over there. We don't need the commentators that tried to hate. We don't need you. We just don't need you. We don't need the energy. We don't need it because we want authentic energy over here. So shout out to Kyrie. Continue to prove him wrong. God willing, you win this championship. And that that's going to be that right there. If you win that championship.
You should have been at the game.
Listen, I'm going to try to make it to one of these games. Kyrie, look. I'm your number one fan, baby. Hook me up. Get a brother a seat or something.
Gotta hook you up.
Hook me up.
You can go on.
I just don't know. Nah, it's hard to get them tickets. It's hard to get the upstairs. Nah, I'm not gonna be in no nosebleeds.
All the way up.
I'm not gonna be in no nosebleeds. If I go see Kyrie, I need to be on the ground while
you gonna be on the court.
While he got on the Kyrie moccasins. Kyrie is killing them in moccasins. You don't even realize that.
I don't really watch, but obviously, I love Kyrie and his
moccasins.
Family.
Kyrie moccasins.
I love Kyrie and his family, and my thing is, I think I would say two things about this. One, Kyrie is a complex individual that I understand well because I share the complexities of wanting to be liked and loved and appreciated and all of that. And in many places I am, and he is as well. But because I have this thing on me, and it's a calling that happens to some of us that makes us speak out about things and makes us uncomfortable in spaces where other people are able to easily conform. They're able to easily adapt and conform, and certain people can't, right? And I'm not talking about, just being a hard-headed person that's always in trouble and all of that. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying that when you look at Kyrie, you know that you can see it in his face, that you can tell in the way that he carries himself and the things that he's not really involved in, right? That he deals with those complexities of the voices in your head that's telling you this is not right. This is unjust. This is something you need to speak out on. And I know this because we've discussed it. You feel like you want to contain it. Because who the hell wants to constantly be under fire? Like, who wants to always be in a controversial space or situation? And sometimes you end up speaking on things or making a move, but it's just instinctive. Like, you just out there, like, I'm not doing that, or I'm going to say this thing, or I'm going to, I can't, my spirit won't allow me to just be like, okay, let's just go along to get along, with certain worldly issues. Not people's personal business, by the way. I'm talking about like issues about things that impact us as a society. And so I feel for him because I know what he goes through, and I know that sometimes it's like a haunting. It really is.
It's a very lonely place because when you don't fit into status quo and you're not comfortable with status quo all the time, and you gotta be the voice that says something that's different than where everybody's going, it's sometimes it's lonely.
Yeah. And every time I try to do something, anything other than that, it doesn't work out for me spiritually, mentally. It just doesn't. And, I was in a space a few days ago with some beautiful, amazing, amazing black women that I love and they love me, right? They love me and I know it. Um, and yet, even with all of that, I still feel like I have this imposter syndrome or like I'm not worthy of being in this space. And and to know that would kill them because they love me and I hold my own in the space. And I'm not, this is not new. This is 30 years of my life. These people respect me and, they call me, they check on me, and yet still, and I don't even know if it is imposter syndrome, which I think it is a little bit of that, but I don't know if it's really that. I need to be clear about classifying it. It is a sense of like, I am an outsider. I always feel like an outsider in every space that I'm in where there are people, and of course not activist spaces, but other places where there are women or men who are advocates, but they're doing things from a different perspective. I feel like an outsider. I feel that way within some of the organizations that I'm a part of. And so when I look at Kyrie, I know what he suffers with. I know it. And I understand it. And it's no joke. It can give you bouts of depression. Like, you really have to work on it. And thank God he has a supportive family that is there to help him keep his life on track and to keep his mental state of mind in a positive place. And we have that as well, right? Like, we have family, we have our Until Freedom and the extended or Until Freedom family that helps us to kind of stay aligned. And so, I would just say that's my first thing, is that people need to be really careful about that and to be mindful of the fact that just because you're an insider and you're cool and everybody likes you and whatever, and then therefore when an outsider or somebody who has some awkward tendencies comes around, you allow that person to be castigated and vilified. Like, that's not okay. You should actually be like, you know what? It's something about, I'm accepted. I'm invited to everything. I remember everybody, all my friends, they get invited to the bougie stuff, and they get to go to the White House and they get to go. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't get to go, right? And most times I don't get to go. And it's not because I'm a criminal. You know what I mean? It's not because I have some horrid background. It's because I dared to speak truth to power. So imagine that. How do you feel about yourself that you're there and I'm not? That's what I think. And again, I have many people who know that. And so they go into rooms and they call my name. Like, they go to it. They make people feel uncomfortable. Like, yeah, Tamika, who's not here, yeah, she did this. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying, I understand him for that. And then the second point I would put out there is that Kyrie has been, in some of the most controversial moments, a strong voice for justice. And that makes people scared. And even your own people will try to tear you down on the master's behalf because he dares to say free Palestine.
Say that again.
He dares to say free Palestine and now he learns, okay, I'm not going to say it, but I'm going to wear a little something because you're going to know where I stand. And those people who are too cowardly to do it and it doesn't matter how much money they have. They could be the biggest athletes in the world. They got all the money. And you know what they post on their page? I stand with Israel. They and won't even come back, which is cool, right? Like, I would never do that. I would never do it because I can't stand with a genocide that's taking place. Do I stand with Jewish people? Absolutely. Absolutely. But to say I stand with a state.
And most of the Jewish people that we know.
The Jewish people that I know, the ones that I'm close to, they don't support
they're the
genocide that is happening to the Palestinian people either. But these folks will share that, knowing what it means, and won't even double back to say, yo, I do stand with Israel, but I also want to challenge Israel to be its best self and not to kill Palestinian people. And I'm also calling for and demanding a ceasefire. They too cowardly to do that. And so when he does it, then you know what he becomes? A problematic person. He's always, Kyrie, he makes people uncomfortable. So I just got to say, shout out to that black man for being a real man, an actual man, and not just a puppet and a coward who's all about money and because he still got money. Why? Because he gives it to all these organizations, right? Kyrie, you don't even have to call him. If he see you post something and it's something that touches him, you'll just get a donation from him to help you. So, that's the type of man that he is, and that's the type of man that we support and salute.
All the time. Shout out to Kyrie. Continue to be great, brother. We got your back. Continue to silence the haters, man. You mind if you like one of us? You're honorary
Outsider.
Outsider. Because you're not gonna always be right. You're not gonna always be wrong, but you're gonna always be authentic.
Yes,
Sir. So
Peace.
Salute to you. Peace.
That's how we own it. That's how we own it. That's how we own it. Oh, that's how we own it.
Check out the video version of TMI
Every single Wednesday on iWoman.tv.
That's how we own it.